The Raiders head into the second half of the season with a new energy. Can they leave Miami with a win? NFL media's Cynthia Frelund is running the numbers. And with 3 new coaches calling the shots, what will the Raiders offense look like? ESPN's Paul Gutierrez stops by. Plus, could Isaiah Pola-Mao help the Raiders defense rise down the stretch? We sit down with a third-year safety. The Silver and Black Show starts now. Welcome into the Silver and Black Show. I'm Theoharis. Change can give any organization a shot in the arm. Last year, the Raiders fired Josh McDaniels midseason and then went 5-4 down the stretch. The Raiders return from the bye this week with the hopes that once again, change will light a fire. With 3 new interim coaches and yet another former NFL head coach in Norv Turner added to the mix, there's been plenty of change in the staff. Now it's up to Antonio Pierce and the players to change the results on the field. And what is the probability of all that happening? Well, we welcome in NFL media analytics expert Cynthia Frelund. Cynthia, I love your choice of wardrobe and your background. I know that we can check out some of your work over on Raiders.com. But all right, let's get started with this. Both teams are struggling this year. So what are some of the key projections you are working on for this matchup?
Well, in this matchup, I'm certainly looking to see what strategies will be different from this offensive staff. Obviously, we know Gardner Minshew starting, but the running back situation and the rushing situation in general is an area where I think there's an opportunity for improvement. If you're just looking at light boxes, which is the best opportunity to run, which means there's more offensive blockers in the box than defensive players, this has been an area where the Raiders, they rank 32nd. So any improvement here would help lead to more favorable downs and distances for Gardner Minshew and all of the other offensive pieces that come from sound, fundamental football, which I know Norv Turner will absolutely be preaching.
Yeah, and how will that all change under Scott Turner? Because, you know, that's not going to happen under any Turner, right? Running the ball as part of their offenses.
Part of running the ball has to do with the look pre-snap. A lot of teams this year use heavier personnel formation, so 12 personnel, 1 running back, 2 tight ends on the field, and they rush out of that, for example. Oftentimes, they'll add an extra offensive lineman if a lot of pressure's coming in. So using some of these, from the trenches, teams are often said to be built from the inside out, right? So if I'm Scott Turner, I am starting with the offensive line. I am creating principles along that offensive line and that front that help everyone just be in more manageable downs, distance, and situations so that you can get just a little bit more push off of your run. You don't need to be, rushing for 13 yards a carry, maybe 4 on first down. That would be a nice improvement so you can stay kind of ahead of the chains.
One thing that puzzled me in particular in the first half and a lot of other people is that Zamir White pretty much was a non-factor in the first part of the season after being one of the most productive backs in the NFL over the last 4 games of last season. In what situations is he most successful?
If you're looking at Zamir White, it's no different from Alexander Mattison or any of the other running backs on the team that have been there ever. It's really about what happens, again, pre-snap. How does the defense that you're facing, how do they fare against the stuff that you're putting out there? And if it's not working, can you adjust fast enough to be able to make Zamir White have those explosive plays? Maybe try an outside run or an inside run. What's it like the definition of insanity, like doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results? Well, if you don't change what you're doing, you're not going to get a different result. It's very unlikely that you'll get a different result. So I think getting Zamir White in situations where he can be a little bit more explosive, have the opportunity to take a few of those extra steps, have a few more yards before contact. So this is kind of how we measure the opportunity to think about it. If you're running faster, you have a better chance of breaking tackles. If you're not running as fast, you have to do it all with the leverage of your body. So if you're not maybe, going so fast, it's going to be a lot harder to get past the defense.
It's funny, Cynthia. Change seems to be a reoccurring word here, so something has to change. Brock Bowers, though, he has been a major bright spot this season. Give us some perspective on just how good of a rookie season he is having historically for a tight end.
I mean, it is a historic rookie season. I mean, he has 307 yards of yak, so yards after the catch. That leads all tight ends in the National Football League, not just rookies, but also all tight ends. And it is the most for any player in his first 10 games since Next Gen Stats started tracking. That's 2016. But very likely, it's a lot before then as well.
Let's switch over and talk about the Dolphins defense. They give up more than 22 points a game. So it can't be all Bowers, right? It has to be somebody else. Who else on the Raiders offense do you think will be key in moving the chains on Sunday? And I'm going to I know you're not supposed to ask two questions, but I'm going to throw another one in here. How will the return of Michael Mayer maybe affect the offense?
Well, let's go with the Mayer question first, because we know he can catch the ball as well. And I talked about 12 personnel. So there's that second tight end. Now you're giving the defense a little bit more to think about, as in, is Mayer going to catch the ball? Is it going to be Brock Bowers? Are they going to run the football? It keeps the defense a little bit more honest and guessing, because if you just simplify defense, what defense is you have to do a process of elimination. If they show me this, it can't be that, right? So if you're now confusing the defense and you're not allowing them to deduce or deduct things from what it could be, then ultimately you're giving yourself the better opportunity to earn more yards. Now, if you don't know this already, I'm like a big Jacoby Myers stan. Like, I think he's one of the most underrated, most valuable wide receivers that people don't talk about enough. This man runs pristine routes. He gets open. He creates separation when there isn't much. He's done really well. I mean, obviously Brock Bowers is there, but there's that other guy who used to be there and created more space for him to work with. Doesn't matter. He hasn't had a single yard of separation drop off without Devontae Adams. So I think, be on the lookout for him. He's one of those guys who he doesn't get enough credit nationally, but he's awesome.
I think we agree with you 100% because we get to see him every weekend. The quarterback situation was a big focus during the bye. What are some of the analytics that may have supported Coach Pierce's decision to stick with Gardner Minshew rather than to switch over to Desmond Ridder, which some people thought was a real possibility?
Yeah, I mean, look, the decision of which quarterback that you're going to put on the field is probably a function of who you think can have the chemistry, create the plays you want to play, give you an opportunity. Explosive plays are so important in our league, and you don't need a ton of them, but you need to be able to have the opportunity to make them. Gardner Minshew has a higher explosive play rate capability. We saw it last year in Indianapolis. Like he can slang it when he needs to. Not to say Desmond Ridder can't, but Gardner Minshew has proven it on another team and could potentially do it here as well.
I never thought about that. Explosive plays. That is a good point there. All right, let's move on to Robert Spillane, because you brought him up. We were texting. We were texting yesterday, and you brought him up because you're like, I love him. We all love him. As a numbers person, though, tell us how under the radar he's having just this really efficient tackling season.
Well, we have a new next-gen stat this year, which is this missed tackle probability. It's also forced missed tackle rate. So basically, we're trying to put a little bit more context around tackling and how important it is. So we can look at how many yards are given up when teams miss tackles, how many times a player on their first chance at a tackle makes it. And Spillane, all of the ones that are good, he's in the top 3 at. All of the ones that are not good, he's in the bottom 3 at. So he's very, very good at tackling and being effective when he tackles. So limiting any extra yards, not missing those first tackles. And maybe even more importantly, he comes across the field and the distance traveled to make the tackle is one of the highest in the league. So typically, if you have to run a really long distance, that means you have a better chance of missing your tackle. Makes sense, right? But not Spillane. He's not going to miss it.
Well, let's hope he doesn't miss it against this Dolphins offense, which is very fast. So on the average, the Dolphins score 11 points more a game when Tua is in versus when he is out. Why is that? I mean, obviously he's a better quarterback, but you're going to give us some numbers to describe why is that. And how can the Raiders try to limit him and play defense against that?
Tua is the quick passer. Like, if you close your eyes, you think about, like, what's it like for who's the poster child for 2.5 second or fewer passes? It's Tua. That's what they've created for him. Catch and run, leverage the speed, get guys open in space, hit them with a nice run from Devin Achane, and then follow it up with a ton of yak from Tyreek Hill. It's really about mixing up the different looks. By the way, their tight end has been very impactful in this season as well, so that's one to look at. But it's really about creating opportunities for catch and run, to keep it very simple. Catch and run opportunities, that's like a McVay thing. It is like a, Shanahan thing. It's all that same tree and philosophy. And Tua executes it really well, especially with the use of those quick passes. But in this game, he's missing his right tackle. So his right tackle is not available. I think he went on IR, even Austin Jackson. And the backup is going to have to play against a guy named Max Crosby. That is not really great. So if you look at his last name is Lamb, and if you look at his results from 2018 to 2023, he allowed an over 12% pressure rate. That is a lot, and it ranks actually in the top 10 amongst 250 guys that had at least 900 pass blocking snaps. So it could be a long day for him. Just saying,
The silver and black would love to see that. And Max Crosby always has a big game. Okay, so you just mentioned a couple of offensive players on the Dolphins. Who does Patrick Graham circle? Do you start with Devin Achane or Tyreek Hill first?
I mean, if I'm going to probably start with Achane only because from the run comes the pass, and that's the philosophy of how their offense is structured. So probably start with that. However, you definitely need to make sure that you know where Tyreek Hill is at all times, because he can function like a running back off of a short pass and just break one free for a ton of yards. So I would say, but those two are your primary focus in this game, especially, I would look at Achane and rushes between the tackles where there are some missing players for the Raiders. Don't run towards Max Crosby. He's so good. He's like, over the course of his career, he's the best defensive edge player to stop runs. So run away from him. Like,
Football 101. Football 101. Yeah. Run away from Max Crosby. All right, before I let you go, let me get a bold prediction. Something that could happen during this game.
I don't think that's bold, but I think we see Brock Bowers in the end zone. I think this is a situation where with Michael Mayer coming back, it makes things even more confusing for the defense. We've seen some lapses in judgment from them, although, with Zach Sealer back, their defense is better. When the good players are playing, they're better defense. But I'm thinking that Brock Bowers is so elite, and he's already I feel like he's like a third-year player already, not a rookie. So I think this is a good opportunity for him to show those people in South Florida what they missed out on.
All right, Cynthia Frelund, we appreciate you taking time for us. I love your mug. For people that are listening on the podcast right now, I love math is what your mug says behind you. You are our favorite mathematician. We can catch your work on Raiders.com, also NFL.com, and all NFL media. Thanks a lot, Cynthia.
Thanks for having me.
Coming up, changes have been made in the coaching ranks, but how will that translate to wins on the field? ESPN's Paul Gutierrez gets us up to speed next on the Silver and Black Show.
Some days are long, some nights never end. I'm on the fleeting seconds flight, I pray to the coming wind. And timelines never stood around for me. I've loved every sky I've ever seen.
Taste is not an option. Taste is everything. 1800, the world's most awarded tequila.
Every year, millions fly with us at Allegiant because together, we go places. We see old friends and try new things. We laugh. We really like to laugh. And reconnect. We remember. And we wander, which leads to wonder. From how we go, to where we go, to what we do when we get there, we go further, together.
The Silver and Black Show is brought to you by Cox, proud partner of the Las Vegas Raiders. 1800 Tequila, official partner of the Raiders. Taste is everything. Please drink responsibly. And by Allegiant, the official airline of the Raiders. Low fares, non-stop flights, only at Allegiant.com. The Raiders are looking for a big turnaround coming out of the bye. They kick off the second half of the season against the 3-6 Dolphins with some new faces calling plays. To talk about what we can expect, we welcome ESPN Raiders reporter Paul Gutierrez, who spent the bye week in Hawaii. Not fair, but well-deserved. We're glad that you were able to get some time off. And for everybody, the bye week is this time of reflection. So what are some of the Raiders' areas of emphasis for the second half that maybe they've communicated to you after that reflection?
Yeah, I think it wasn't. Thanks for having me, Amber. And I think it doesn't necessarily mean what they've communicated to me or to the reporters in general. It's what they've told to the entire NFL, right? When you're moving on from an offensive coordinator, an offensive line coach, a quarterback coach, it's telling everybody what needs to improve. It's the offenses in general. It's the running game in particular. So that's the number one thing they're doing. And when you're bringing in Scott Turner, elevating him from pass game coordinator to interim OC, and you're bringing in his father, a legendary really coach in the NFL, and Norv Turner, who on a personal note was the coach of the Raiders when I first joined the beat way back in 2005. It's a full circle moment for a lot of people. So the message is they need to get the offense up and running, and you go that way with it. So that to me, it doesn't speak any louder or clearly than that. That's what they need to get going is the offense. And what better way to do that than after hitting the reset button during the bye week?
You've had a chance to see some practice. What do you think the Raiders offense will look like under the Turners?
Yeah, it's interesting because they've worked together before. Back in 2019, they were both on the staff with the Carolina Panthers. And that's the thing with Norv Turner. When he's got, it's you hate to say it, but he's kind of that old dog with some new ideas. You can't, what's the saying? You can't teach an old dog new tricks, but he can bring some new ideas, and that's what they're looking to lean on here. As Gardner Minshew himself put it, it's basically the same bones of the offense. It's just some different things here to try to put guys in position to succeed. And talking with Scott Turner today, that's exactly what he said. It's just simply about communication. It's about putting people in position to succeed. And again, what better time to do it than at the bye week, because you can hit that reset button and just kind of have that emphasis. And you felt it with Antonio Pierce in his weekly Wednesday press conference. There was an energy to him that we hadn't seen for a long time. And a 2-7 start to the season, that'll kind of take some of that energy away from you. But it seems like they really are ready to kind of hit the ground running, and going to Miami, that's the best opportunity to try to get it going again. Norv
Turner, Joe Philbin, Marvin Lewis, Tom Coughlin at some point. A lot of former head coaches are in the building. From the outside looking in, some might say, what is their role? Are there too many cooks in the kitchen? Can you kind of help us understand what their roles are?
Yeah, the roles were simply, with Antonio Pierce being a first-time head coach in the NFL, to help him navigate the waters of just the day-to-day responsibilities that he was going to be facing for the first time ever. He was a head coach in high school at Long Beach Poly, so that's really his only experience that he had to glean from. Then you bring in guys that he has a lot of respect for and or has worked with or played for in the past. That was the ultimate plan. A 2-7 start, that doesn't really reflect anything positive from that, but that's kind of what the roles are. With Marvin Lewis actually having the title of assistant head coach, that's something there that you can actually, is tangible. The other guys, they're just there, and I'm not going to say they're just there for moral support or mental support or anything like that, but their roles really need to kind of come forward a little bit more if they want to have some success. And the best way, again, the best deodorant for anything is to win, right? So a 2-7 start, as Antonio Pierce said himself, he needed, with a bye, he needed to take a cold shower, take a cold bath to kind of get that stench off of himself and the entire team as well.
There were some rumors and reports coming out that players had expressed the need to have kind of more efficient practices, more efficiency with their time. What has been the result of that feedback?
Yeah, it seems like the best thing when things are starting to go sideways, it is to take that break. And that's what the bye provides. I'm old enough to remember when the NFL had 2 byes in the season way back in 1990. I don't know how that could have affected teams that were, on a positive run. You don't want to stop, but when you're on a negative run, that's what happens. Whether you want the efficiency, whether you want a new look. So now when you move on from 3 coaches, not only is that a change in philosophy, it's a change in manpower in terms of coaching too. So Norv Turner coming in not only is providing a different view, a different aspect. He's also bringing in additional workload that he can kind of manage and take away from Scott, as in terms of calling the plays and coming up with different things there. So that I believe is where they're trying to go with the efficiency. And just, you can't placate the players too much. It is a players' league, but there's a need for coaches. So again, it just comes down to when you win games, then everything kind of calms down. When you take a break, everything calms down and you're able to hit that reset button.
Okay, so on Sunday, the decision has been made to go with Gardner Minshew. A lot of people thought maybe they would switch over to Desmond Ridder during the bye. Yeah. What ultimately led to Coach Pierce's decision to stick with Minshew?
As he said it himself, Antonio said that it was really a matter of, we've seen it on tape, that they signed him for a reason. 2 years, $25 million, $15 million guaranteed. What they've been seeing from Gardner right now with the 12 turnovers, which is second most in the NFL at this point in the season, that's not the guy they signed. So at some point, he said, you got to give him the confidence that, hey, this is your team. Go forward, let it fly, let it rip, let it loose. And that's what they want to see from him. And after the self-scout of everything else there, I was one of the ones that thought that they might go with Desmond Ridder, because you already know what you had in Aiden O'Connell, who, he's still on IR with the broken thumb, and you knew you'd seen what you had in Gardner Minshew, but they believe that his best days are still ahead of him. Beyond obviously the $15 million guarantee that they're paying him. So you go that route, and it just kind of it makes sense in that when you look at it from that department. So it really is just a matter of, look, this is the guy that we brought in for a reason, and we're going to continue to ride with him.
Paul, let's get some updates on the health of the offensive line. I mean, by the end of that Cincinnati game, I thought they were going to call me to start at guard at one point. So how healthy is the line?
You still got Andre James is out. Colton Miller is back out there practicing in a limited capacity, so I would not be shocked to see him out there. But we did get an update that Jackson Powers Johnson is going to Jackson Powers Johnson. That's right. Yeah, I always have to remind myself of with the initial. Yeah, he's going to be the center this week, if not for the foreseeable future. And this is also, remember, this is a guy that was the best center in all of college last year. So it's nothing new to him. It's one of those weird things where in Cincinnati, you wondered if there was something going on with that turf, because so many guys were leaving that game with ankle injuries on both sides. So seeing that first injury report of the season, it was a good kind of a barometer to see that, well, offensive line wise, Andre James was the only one that wasn't able to practice, at least on day one.
Okay, that's good news. Some of the best news of the season has been around Brock Bowers, but also Jacoby Myers. They're the team's playmakers. What are you hearing about plans to get them the ball more? Because one of the biggest mysteries in the first half, it was well reported, they would just go missing. I mean, for 30 minutes of a game in different chunks when you added it all up. What is being said about that?
Yeah, and it's interesting that you say that, because it's true. When you're watching the game, it's like, well, what happened? How come they just went away from him? And then heading into the bye week, Brock Bowers, as a rookie, was leading the NFL in receptions. Yeah. So he's getting them in bunches. Jacoby missed a couple of games with an injury. And now you're getting Michael Mayer back, too. I'm not sure if he's going to play this weekend or not, but that's another weapon that you could potentially have out there that's going to take targets away from somebody else. But if it helps with the overall success of the offense, even better. It all really, to me, comes back down to the running game, though, because if you cannot run the ball, then you become too predictable what you're going to do with the passing game. And then guys are able to double team receivers coming out and everything else like that. And that to me is how come those guys disappear, because it's obvious where they're going to go. So if and when they get the running game going, that's going to open up the play action pass game. That's going to open up those quick little slants to the Jacobys, to the Trey Tuckers, to even Brock Bowers. So it's going to be real interesting to see if Michael Mayer is able to suit up this weekend, how that then affects what this new look offense is going to appear to be out there on the field.
Okay, before I let you go, I have to ask you, because it's getting a lot of national play, and I know as an ESPN guy, you're watching your people in studio there. Why so much speculation so early, making the connection of Shedeur Sanders to the Raiders? It seems to be the hot, fun topic, but really nobody knows anything, because until the end of the season, you don't know where you're going to pick. But why is everybody having so much fun talking about that at such a national level?
I think you just kind of put the dots together there, right? The Raiders, obviously were in the market for a quarterback last year. They signed Gardner Minshew, but the question is he the long-term answer? Is Aiden O'Connell the long-term answer? And I think at this point of the time, you say, well, maybe not. And everybody, the sexy thing is always drafting a quarterback. And where are they going to be in the draft? Where can they potentially get that franchise guy? Okay, so you play that game and you look and see, okay, if they have a top 5 pick, who could they potentially get? Everybody last year at this time or heading into the draft was, it was Jane Daniels because of a certain connection that he had with Antonio Pierce, the head coach. Okay, so look at the quarterbacks that are out there now. Shedeur Sanders, who does he have a connection to? The new minority owner of the Las Vegas Raiders, Tom Brady. He's worked with him in the offseason. And when Mark Davis says upon the announcement of Tom Brady joining the organization that Tom Brady can't play, obviously, but maybe he'll help the Raiders select a quarterback and help train him. Who's he worked with in the past? Shedeur Sanders. So sometimes the most obvious link is the straight line. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it makes it more understandable.
You talk about a full circle moment for your career with Norv Turner. That's me and Shedeur Sanders. I can remember him as a 3-year-old peeking his head out of his dad's legs in the locker room when I was covering his dad. So we're both really old with those two stories, but full circle moment if he does, but a long way to go before anything like that happens. All right, thanks for being here with us, Paul. We appreciate the insight, and I'm glad you got some time off during the bye week.
Thanks, Amber. Aloha.
Coming up, he has Hall of Fame DNA in his blood. We sit down with the Raiders safety Isaiah Pola-Mao next on the Silver and Black Show.
In 300 feet, turn left.
With Cox's fiber-powered internet, you can do brilliant things.
Exit approaching.
Like upload your voice to Dad's GPS in no time flat.
And I miss you, Daddy. Happy birthday.
Get multi-gig download speeds powered by fiber. Upgrade your internet today with Cox, the nation's fastest internet provider. Limited availability in select areas.
Some days are long, some nights never end. I'm on the fleeting seconds flight. I pray to the coming wind. And timelines never stood around for me. I've loved every sky
Taste is not an option. Taste is everything. 1800, the world's most awarded tequila.
Celebrate the season Raiders style. Enchant Christmas is the award-winning holiday light maze experience featuring larger-than-life light sculptures, ice skating, and other festive attractions. And the Raiders are excited to partner with Enchant Christmas for Silver and Black Giving Back, a one-night-only fundraising event on December 3rd at the Las Vegas ballpark. Fans can meet Raider Rusher, the Raiderettes, and join a scavenger hunt for a chance to win epic Raider prizes. Proceeds benefit the Raiders Foundation, supporting military, veterans, wellness, and youth programs. Find the scavenger hunt official rules and get your tickets today at raiders.com/enchant.
Hanging out with Raiders safety Isaiah Pola-Mao, and it's good to meet you. First of all, we haven't really spoken much, but bye week is a time to kind of hang out and self-scout. But I don't even want to talk about football just yet. You got a new baby.
I do.
So what did you do during the bye week?
It was my wife's bye week. You know, I was on daddy duty, and it was fun. You know, we got to hang out, got to spend more time with my son, and just bond. And you know, like I said, we just got a Christmas tree, so we're trying to get our Christmas traditions going, and you know, it's a fun time.
You got to get him the little baby USC onesie.
Oh, he has everything.
Everything.
He has it all already.
All right. So as you look at the bye week, and everybody does some self-scouting personally, what are some of your personal goals for the second half?
Honestly, to me, I could care less about statistics. I just want W's, you know, for the team. Everything goes a lot better when you're winning, you know. But you know, I just want to continue to help the team, you know, as best as I can. You know, make the plays that come to me, and you know, just do my job. That's
a great goal. Win. Pretty
Absolutely.
easy. How about the points of emphasis for the defense as a whole? It's a time where the unit can say, okay, we did this well, but we can do this better.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's always room for improvement, you know, but specifically I think we want to show more physicality, and we want to show our speed. We want it to pop off the tape, you know, when you're watching the TV copy, you want to be like, damn, like they're running, like, oh man, who was that? Like just see flashes of black and silver, you know, and that's what we want to put on tape.
You're going to get a chance to do that this weekend, going up against that Dolphins offense with a lot of speed.
Absolutely.
When you look at guys like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, do you think it's an opportunity to match your speed with theirs?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. It's a great challenge for us. You know, those guys are, you know, 4'2", 4'3", just blazers. So, I mean, for us to see that and, you know, go up against that is an amazing challenge for us, and, you know, we accept that.
You got Jacorian. He's pretty fast.
Oh, yeah. We're not really tripping about that. We got fast guys, too.
I'm going to give you a point of emphasis for the second half, right? How about takeaways? You had your first interception against the Miami Dolphins in Week 11 last year. Is that a point of emphasis for not just you? We're looking for more big plays, but for the defense in general, because we've seen players on this defense be ball hawks before.
Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, that's the name of the game. It's all about the ball. You know, I mean, we have to focus on that. We can't just continue to, you know, not get turnovers. You know, that's not us as a defense, and we pride ourselves in that, you know, and it starts in practice. You know, we just got to continue to work on it and, you know, target the ball.
Do you feel like they come in bunches? If they just start to come, they'll come?
Yeah, absolutely. That's how it goes. Like, you know, it's I don't know what it is about defense. You know, somebody gets one now, everybody's looking for it, you know, and everybody's hungry for it.
It's contagious, that's for sure.
It is.
Last year, most of your snaps, the majority came on special teams, and now with Marcus Epps out, you've been called upon playing every single defensive snap for 4 consecutive games. That is quite a workload. What has been your mentality as you take hold of this opportunity in front of you?
I think it all starts in, you know, your preparation, and that's where you build confidence. And, you know, I think nothing really changed for me, you know. I've always been just, you know, it's always the next man up mentality. So I kind of prepared myself as if, you know, God forbid something happens I can't, you know, let my opportunity go to waste. I got to be ready for it, and I got to be able to, you know, step right in.
Does that come from some of your background? You know, in 2022, you weren't drafted. You were signed by the Raiders as an undrafted rookie free agent, of course, out of USC, fight on,
yeah,
Trojans.
All the time.
How has the experience of not being drafted kind of affected your career, and do you carry a different mentality maybe than people where it came a little bit more easy to them?
I mean, absolutely. I think, you know, it's the hardest route you go in the league, but I think, you know, they're always trying to get rid of you, especially undrafted. They're always trying to find a guy to take your place, you know, and you kind of have to carry yourself like that. You know, have to be a professional, and you have to do more than, you know, a drafted guy is. You know, you have to do more, whatever it is, working out, an extra rep or an extra mental rep, you know, whatever it is you got to do to get that extra step.
Sounds like you know the business side, too, so a smart man.
A little bit.
Yeah, realistic about it. There are definitely some dogs on this defense other than yourself. You know, I just mentioned Marcus Epps. You know, he's out. He's one of them. But guys like Robert Spillane and Max Crosby, and just being on the same unit as them, what are some things that you take away from watching them and how they handle their business?
Absolute professional, and, you know, just being around those guys, you know, they're warriors, modern day warriors, and, you know, the stuff that they put their bodies through, and then to be able to come back the next week, do it again, take care of their bodies, what they do, eating wise, you know, everything that they do to get back up and do it again week after week. You know, I kind of just watch them and take little notes about how they do that.
You also have the luxury that not a lot of players have, and that's having a Hall of Fame uncle, Isaiah Pola-Mao. So do you pick his brain? Have you always, and even throughout college and into the pros, and what do you get from him?
I've always watched him, you know, just how he takes care of his body, like, you know, Max and Spill. But, you know, he's been a professional, and to this day, he still does the same regimen. He still eats the same. He still takes care of his body. You know, he stretches and does all this stuff. But, you know, I kind of just watch that and taking notes and kind of just try to, you know, apply that to my own life.
And before I let you go, I got to ask you about the tattoo. It looks tribal. Everybody loves telling exactly. What does it mean? Tell us.
Yeah, I mean, it's just different aspects of the island. You got, you know,
what
shark
island?
teeth,
Tell people.
Samoa. You got spearhead. You got shark teeth. You got caterpillars. All type of stuff on here. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of almost a rite of passage. You know, I got this when I was 18 and kind of becoming a man. So, I mean, it was kind of a big thing when I was a kid.
I love that, the pride in Samoa.
Yes,
well, thanks for sharing that with us, and thanks for sitting down with us. We can't wait to see what you do. Hopefully you get that second pick against the Dolphins.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Coming up, where have you gone, Zamir White? A look at how the Raiders' new offensive play callers could unleash the third year back. It's One Last Thing next on the Silver and Black Show.
Every year, millions fly with us at Allegiant because together, we go places. We see old friends and try new things. We laugh. We really like to laugh. And reconnect. We remember. And we wander, which leads to wonder. From how we go to where we go to what we do when we get there, we go further together.
In 300 feet, turn left.
With Cox's fiber-powered internet, you can do brilliant things.
Exit approaching.
Like upload your voice to Dad's GPS in no time flat.
And I miss you, Daddy. Happy birthday.
Get multi-gig download speeds powered by fiber. Upgrade your internet today with Cox, the nation's fastest internet provider. Limited availability in select areas.
Some days are long, some nights never end. I'm on the fleeting seconds flight. I pray to the coming wind. And timelines never stood around for me. I love every sky I've
Taste is not an option. Taste is everything. 1800, the world's most awarded tequila.
Celebrate 65 seasons of Raiders football. Be a part of our legacy with a special edition brick featuring the exclusive 65th anniversary logo. Get your brick installed at Allegiant Stadium along with a replica for your home or office. Order now and support the Raiders Foundation, benefiting military and veterans, wellness initiatives, and youth development. Secure your place in Raiders history today at RaidersFoundationBricks.com. The Silver and Black Show has been brought to you by Cox, proud partner of the Las Vegas Raiders, Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Las Vegas Raiders and the NFL, and by Allegiant, the official airline of the Raiders. Low fares, non-stop flights, only at Allegiant.com. Time now for one last thing. We're all going to be excited to see what the Raiders offense looks like with Scott Turner calling the plays and his dad, North Turner, helping out. A lot of experience. The simplest question will be, can they get the run game going? Or even furthermore, will they even be a run-first team?
But there are certain things that has to change. You know, our ability to run the football has to change. We have to run the football. We're one of the worst teams in football, if not the worst football running team in football. So that has to change.
Okay, so they're going to run the football. So yes, the quarterback play has been rough, but the lack of any run game has been puzzling. Madison has his moments, but not Zamir White, who was one of the best running backs in the NFL in the final 4 games of last season. Check out this number. He averaged 99 yards a game as a starter during that stretch. He was so promising that Tom Telesco felt comfortable letting former NFL rushing leader Josh Jacobs walk out the door in free agency.
I don't really see a lead back type thing. You got to have more than one. You need to have 2. You need to have 3. They all have different roles with the team. The way this game's played is hard to do, just to put that all on one person.
Unfortunately, that plan didn't work, and now White is nowhere to be found. He's second on the depth chart to Alexander Madison. What happened? We do know Luke Getsy ran a zone run blocking scheme and took White out of a gap run scheme, the type of scheme he was comfortable in at Georgia, and the same scheme last year's interim OC, Bo Hardegree, ran when White was tearing it up. White is a downhill running back. Everybody knows that. Bouncing around to the outside is just not his thing. So let's see if on that first drive against the Dolphins, Turner and new interim offensive line coach Joe Philbin will, number 1, use White, and number 2, move to a gap run scheme versus a zone. If so, Zamir White could be one of the pleasant surprises of the second half, just like he was last year. That'll do it for us. It's Raiders-Dolphins in Miami. Kickoff is set for 10 a.m. Pacific. Have a great weekend, everyone.